Allergies, guys. Sorry, we're a little late on the start today. I feel like a planet's not aligned or something, because I'm just like way behind on like everything, anything and everything. So, in any case, I wanted to talk a little bit about passive income. Gotten a lot of questions this week, people asking what are the best ways to get some passive income in this space. And really, it came from, something that I wanted to talk about today came from a specific YouTuber that I follow a lot. And his name is Jaspreet Singh from Minority Mindset. Shouts out to him. I've been following him since he was well under even like 300,000 subscribers. So if you don't follow Jaspreet, as a little homage to him, I don't think I'll have a link below, but definitely give him a watch. He's fantastic. Um, I cannot recommend his content enough. And let me just grab the link. See if I can get where. Okay. Yeah, this works. You have to bear with me. My allergies are just terrible at this time of year. Not sure if you guys are, having that same issue, but it's a really good photo here from Jaspreet. And if you see the name of the video, it's 3 passive income assets the rich are buying right now that while you're working. And while that seems like a fairly, simple thing to say, uh, he's absolutely spot on with that. Why? Because we're in a situation where there's a lot of people who are, working out there. They're watching some of our videos. They're like, how do I get ahead? Really, the hard part is that it's hard to get ahead, to be quite honest, because in a lot of ways, you're in a situation where the system is rigged against you, right? The rich get richer, the poor don't get richer, is basically the idea. Um, one second. Just need to repost this on the tweeters. And basically, the idea here is that for the majority of people who are not finding the success they want, they're working mainly for a salary, which goes towards expenses. Completely understand how that works. I've done that for years. But the rich, they work to acquire assets that continue to work for them well after they have acquired them. And while that sounds like something that's very simple, it's absolutely correct. Now, to be fair, see if I can find the piece that I'm looking for here. Getting there. What Jaspreet talks about, and for most people, they don't want to own property. I was just talking to my wife about this. Like, it'd be great if we were able to buy 3 plexes and 4 plexes. My daughters, they're one of their best friends. Their family owns multiple homes. That's not something that I'm particularly interested in, but it might be something for you. So if real estate is something that you're into, and yeah, you should diversify the bag as much as possible. The other thing he talked about besides homes is stocks and dividends, right? In particular, getting into some of these dividends where you're earning 6.2%, 4.3%. some of these larger ETFs. Is that 12? That might be an international one, or some international ones here too. 4.1, 3.6. For a lot of people, they think that this is a good rate, and in all honesty, it is. To be able to have passive income working for you, this is why I have a dividend portfolio. If you don't have one, I highly recommend getting one. Again, you don't want to be what we call tits long in crypto, right? You want to have a multitude of different things working for you in as many ways as possible. Even though our show is mostly about decentralized finance, which is cryptocurrency and digital assets, and we have a show here called Beat the Banks. Um, a lot of this is meant for you to have multiple ways to find that route. So that's why I love Jaspreet. There's a lot of other really great creators that are in his same niche that do a lot of the same stuff. So, um, and there are a lot of tricks to it, right? I've done the HELOC thing. A lot of people, don't realize you can use a HELOC and then use that to leverage points and pay off things and get into a loop where, essentially you're just earning all kinds of travel points to go travel the world. And you can use that for there's other things you can do with that, right? Or someone like Cameron Dennis, for example, someone else I also follow who, teaches you how to do things with LLCs to make sure you can compartmentalize, and you can do a lot of research. But he doesn't talk about crypto here. He's been on the record talking about crypto before. He knows what decentralized finance is. And for a lot of people, it's still super niche to do. The question here is, these are all fairly speculative, also still fairly safe, right? Some of these, there's a couple of things you can do, like REITs, real estate investment trusts, which in a way is like fractional ownership of different real estate things that are out there. You earn a return. On our Twitter space, we featured the project that's in core on blocks.gg. I want to say it's called ASX. Let me give them some love. Let's give them some love. We'll do that. Because I pointed this out on the Twitter space, and I was like, why are more people not doing this? So this is ASX, and this is from, and I apologize, I don't remember the name of the group that we had, because they kind of jumped on, as a favor, not as a favor, but as an invitation from WASP, from the CoreDAO team on Core, which is not a layer 2. They're actually a layer 1 with Bitcoin facing products. But essentially, this is the FJC apartments. They have more than one, actually. And basically, if you grab one of these apartments, you're actually grabbing partial ownership in, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, they're technically RWAs because they have two specific apartment complexes that they've tokenized thanks to some relationships they've had. If you had no idea this is a thing, this is a thing. So your average rate of return here, and maybe I need to kind of blow this up because it's a little small. It's about 7.5%, 8.4%. It's not staggering, right? But at the same time, it's in the same realm here, if not a bit better. Plus, you can get in super cheap on this. You get a piece of the rent from the property management company. That's what they've done here. So again, I don't want to speak for them because it's been a bit since I've looked at it, but it's something you may want to consider if you're ever looking for some prospectus specifically on that one, what this is. Okay, so fun, based on the British Virgin Islands. NFT it's a tokenized promissory note. The loan proceeds onward lent to project entity via structured chain of agreements. The cash flows, the interest plus the potential upside flow back to holders net of administration fee. Admin fees 10%, which is fine. They got to pay a team to do property management, all that. But the money comes from it all comes from the rent and some other pieces that are there to it. So if you're curious about projects like this, definitely check them out, because I think this is amazing. In fact, when I had them on the show, the floor for this was like 12 core. And for those curious about how much core is right now, oh yeah, we'll go here. Wait, let me refresh. Is the market still going a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs today? It still is. Yep. Core is at 44 cents. Let's do the math. 24 times 44. $10. So for $100, you could grab 10 of these. Obviously, it won't be exactly 100 because the price goes up a little bit. You grab 10 of these. And I really should have swept this when it was at 10 or 12, because at that point it was $4 or $5. And grab a piece of people's rent in these apartments. I will say the other one, I believe, is a bit of a more interesting deal because it's right by Whitman Air Force Base in Missouri. I need to double check which one it is. One of them is with, I mean, there's one that's in Arkansas, which I believe this is, and then the other is oh no, this is it. It's managed by an actual real estate company. They are closely tied. The group is closely tied to the project management, the property management company that are in charge of this. But if you're looking for passive income with regards to real estate, this is a fascinating example. I'll put this link here in the chat. Not sure if it'll actually show up to all of you, but all right, it's just on YouTube and on Twitch. So anyway, this is something that we found in our Twitter space. And we have this Twitter space every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We're looking to, introduce as many different communities to our projects to our communities as possible. So yeah, when we're looking at passive income, this is what we're looking at, right? And this is not bad, right? But in crypto, or less, I'm sorry, in DeFi with digital assets, with RWAs, which is real world assets, tokenizing things, we're going to have stocks, oil, all that stuff tokenized very soon and brought up on chain. Precious metals. I've seen rice, wheat, oil, corn, you name it. At one point, someone was looking to tokenize chickens. That's something that could be interesting as well. Unfortunately, it's not the best maturing asset, because chickens, frankly, don't live that long, depending on which you're doing. Indonesia was looking to tokenize their fish market so that it was easier for fishmongers and families who fish for a living to have a more fair way to sell their goods at market. Imagine how cool it would be if you actually were able to, if they were able to raise funds by people investing in their business in such a way where they received like a portion of that, they received the lion's share of that to put into their businesses to become better fishermen, whether that's for processing, for actually hiring more fishermen, getting better boats, better nets, or whatever the technology is to catch fish. It's really cool to see, what we can do with that. Starting with something like this. I mean, it's literally, you're getting 7% on your money, which is better than anything you're gonna get at a bank, right? And it's amazing. So for people who are looking for some passive income plays, I love this idea. Granted, I again do your own research, not financial advice. You want to go through and just make sure that you're getting your everything is signed and there's a contract there, and you'll be getting that money, and verify how that comes back to you. Now, with that said, uh, there are other blockchains where this type of stuff is happening. So we'll if this is something that you're really curious about, let me know. We're happy to put a report like that together. One thing we are trying to do is bring out as much stuff as possible to our free group, and that's a Total Value Locked. That's a school.com/beacon, completely free to join. Let me put the ticker. Completely free to join, and for the best in the business. And I say that because I think a lot of our content is the best in the business. We've been in this business, we've been in this space since 2019. I have, at least, and actually everybody on my team has. This has been my full-time career since 2021, and I've helped tens of thousands of people get into decentralized finance safely and securely. Right now, if you watched our Wednesday show, we had Justin Gary, the CEO of SoulForge Fusion. We're actually going to be throwing an event. We want you guys to play along. So if you want to be in our event, where roughly up to $2,500 of SFG token will be up for grabs in the tournament. Not sure exactly how we're going to structure that. We're working on that right now. But if you want to, join our community, learn a little bit about DeFi. If you like turn-based card games, TCGs, this is a free-to-play TCG. You download it from Steam, and it works on Mac and PC. And you're able to go through the campaign, build a couple decks, and be in the tournament. So really excited to get that started. Really excited to continue to grow our partnership with SoulForge Fusion. The SFG token actually is available on both Base as well as Solana. So they actually have liquidity mining pools. This is the one that's on Solana. They also have one on Base, but they have a Sol SFG pool that earns roughly about 107% at the current. It just depends on what because this is concentrated liquidity, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, it's standard. Wow. Okay. I thought this was a concentrated liquidity pool. It is not. It is a regular liquidity pool on Radium. Good to know. Anyway, you can do that on both Base. Base, you just do it on Uniswap, I'd guess. But yeah, there you go. Back to the subject at hand. Again, we were talking about multiple ways that you could earn, specifically passive income. One thing we have in our group is, and one of our community leaders, Greg, is putting together lists of different types of DPIN, which is decentralized physical infrastructure networks. Those types of protocols. One of the best examples of this is HiveMapper still around. They've kind of removed. They've kind of changed to B maps, but this is on Solana. The token is called Honey, and basically what they're doing is trying to create decentralized maps, kind of what you have on Google Maps, on Apple Maps, right? They create maps based on people having their device, which is called the Bee, and you actually earn Honey token for having it on your dash. Oh, it's up to, it used to be $300. But the tech is much better now. It's also a dash cam. I guess it has much better tech. And basically what this does is it just maps everything around you to help build the maps. And you get paid for that, right? You get paid for that in HiveMapper token. So ultimately you buy one of these, and much like other things, you try and earn rewards on it, right? The other thing you can do is something like Helium Mobile. Go to helium.com. And their hotspot, which is what we call it's a 5G femtocell, is basically what it is that you just place these anywhere that you put them around town. That's normally how the original helium project worked. It was like a is basically a device that took and verified them for Internet of Things networks. They then also started to do a 5G project, which I believe is now sold to AT&T in terms of the carrier offload service that they have. Okay, so it's used by more than that. I know AT&T is one, but basically just helps increase um, throughput for 5G. So if you just happen to be in a city that doesn't have good 5G for who you have, you can get some of these and maybe help build that infrastructure. You do get passive income for having these devices and using them. The mobile one, this is for the network. Um, and you can do residential and commercial. Oftentimes, if you do this, you can make a deal. What this is what they've always said: make a deal with whoever you give it to. You're like, I'll give you half the profits or 30% of the profits we get off of this. ROI on these devices, whatever. Suddenly, we're not for you. They're trying to do commercial, I suppose. So there's an indoor and an outdoor hotspot. One second. Sorry, my kids were yelling. The indoor hotspot costs $249. The outdoor hotspot costs $499. But there obviously there's going to be better specs on it. So again, these are ROI devices. Yeah, 150-foot indoors, 800 feet within line of sight. This is much more of the femtocell that a lot of businesses would rather use, frankly. So this actually works really well if you happen to live above a business, actually. So that's where that kind of stuff could go well. Anyway, this is one of thousands of projects that are out there. In fact, let me bring up one that we have a partnership with. This is Nubula. And Nubula has this specific device called the Marco. And what it is, and I saw this in Denver actually for the first time. And then I met the team in Las Vegas at BTC 2025. It's a weather station. It's so small. It's literally like this big. Um, it fits in your pocket. And this Marco thing, there's a glass dome that fits on top of this anemometer, but there's like um, now this that's much bigger than the one I saw. The one I saw is tiny. It fits in the palm of it literally fits in the palm of your hand. It has, I'm guessing, 5G and Wi-Fi radios on the inside, so it just connects to the internet. I guess you can connect it to a solar panel if you like, and it gives hyper local weather data. It's used by a wide variety of people. Yeah, see this thing? It's tiny. That's actually about the size of how big it is. Let me turn off the banner. And if this is something you're interested in, let me know. We do have a referral code you can use, and I believe you get a discount. I believe you do. I don't not don't quote me on that. The weather station itself, I believe, is $299. But yeah, there's no subscription fee. You get a yeah, it's $299. You do get incent pardon me. You get incentivized for this. So, but yeah, if you're curious about where that weather kind of goes, hyper local weather is used a lot on like Weather Underground, right? And Is it raining here in Nebraska? But a lot of this hyperlocal weather goes to services like this. There's a couple other places that also get it as well. Um, Decentralized AI, like in BitTensor, they also use data from Nubula. They send it out to a bunch of different people, and the money that they earn from that comes back to you. They also have nodes, which are not as cheap. They have an RWA Oracle. Let's see this. You can join their validator node project as well. That's a little bit more of financial commitment because I believe they're 300, 600, and $900. Yeah, 50, oh, 15. And I honestly don't know the difference between the two. You can certainly look and find out. But anyway, this wasn't meant to be a deep dive too much into what Nuble is doing, but just kind of giving you an idea. We have talked on a previous call about all of the different. There's a whole directory full of projects that are doing deep in. There's actually a blockchain called Peak. Peak.xyz. Yes, this is an actual layer one, and all it features are projects that are full DePIN or decentralized physical infrastructure networks. And the reason, if you're wondering why DePIN matters, is because we don't want one company owning everything, right? We don't want Google or Apple to have the market on mapping. You can participate in this and be rewarded. Another project that they just migrated to base is Dymo, I think is how it's pronounced. And if you've heard of Dymo, I met back up with them in Denver this year. And basically, this is you get discounts for not only for just safer driving, but what's going on is they take the data, which goes into your OBD port underneath your steering wheel, and they actually sell that data with your permission to insurance companies, garages, auto manufacturers, because they may make cars or they may insure cars, but they don't know about the behavior of most people. Now, with that said, are there companies like Progressive who have a tool like this that do something similar? Like they give you cheaper car insurance if you drive safely for 6 months or something like that? Yeah, of course. Um, but they own your data. You own your data with this stuff, and you earn Dymo rewards every Monday. So, if you're looking for passive income plays in this space, they are available. There's, there's dozens. But these are all ways to do so. Set up some passive income streams so that you have things that'll work for you in the background while you're working, or if you have a business. These are just things you can, for the most part, set and forget, right? Because they're going to be a part of what you do. If you happen to do a lot of traveling, let's say that you are a business founder and you just happen to do a lot of driving around the country, or let's say that you are an entrepreneur and you have a side hustle as a food delivery driver, or you do Uber or Lyft, then doing B mapping, frankly, is a no brainer, especially if you happen to live in an area that isn't as packed as other places. Always having this stuff available, is great, because if you see cars out there like Waymo, which does it without a driver, Google Maps, you'll see the car around every once in a while. You're pretty much like one of those cars. So that's kind of part of the project, right? And there's so many others. There's Render, there's all kinds of deep end, like Grass, for example. Getgrass.io. Yeah, Grass. And essentially you earn the Grass token while they use your home internet. And basically what they're doing is they're using your unused home internet to train AI models. Regardless of how you feel about it, uh, they're going to use it. They're going to use something anyway. So you might as well, if you want to be a part of it, get paid in the token, and you earn a specific amount every epoch. Not sure how often that is. I'm sure they have a whole list here of everything that you need, and that's a grass.io. But yeah, this is just one half of the equation, right? DPIN is a fairly interesting industry to be in. And essentially, if you're looking for things in DeFi that are fairly profitable, you can't go wrong with at least these five. I need to find the directory. Let me see if I can take a second to find it. And it's here in our, it's the answer is here in the community. So if I just go here to school.com/beacon, again, completely free to join if you want to learn more about decentralized finance. We have plenty of free content. But if you want to, get the best of the best, we have our Beacon Mastermind offering as well as our Beacon Challenge offering if you want to make your first dollar in DeFi within 48 hours. And as you can see, I just searched for DPIN and we've got a lot of maybe I don't have the directory here. I'll have to find it. Greg, if you're watching, let me know if you happen to remember the directory. But yeah, DPIN's a really great way. And again, the idea here is you want to do whatever you can. And what's interesting is that Jaspreet literally mentioned the word, I think the word was sacrifice, right? And frankly, the wealthy people don't have to sacrifice all that much. I mean, but I know plenty of rich people that are unbelievably cheap because they're trying to acquire as many assets as possible. And that's the key. All you really have to do is get a couple assets rolling. You get some of that passive income, you take it, you could do other things. Open up a dividend portfolio. Like the one tip I can give you if you're looking for dividends is to check out the Aristocrat. It's listed like 25. Yeah, the Dividend Aristocrats. Thank you, Brave. They have to have been groups that have actually had dividends go out for the last 25 consecutive years. And there are lists of companies that do this. Coca-Cola, ADP. I know Walgreens is one. Those are all ones that are on my dividend list. Let's see if we have the actual. All right, sure, dividend. There's 69 of them. Oh, they're going to make you pay for that. But anyway, you can ask ChatGPT or Grok or whoever for it. It's not hard to find. But having dividends is great. The only bad thing then, and I wouldn't even say it's a bad thing. The only thing you just have to worry about when you start doing more investing like this is you need to find a good CPA. I don't have a CPA for you, by the way, but find someone who can help you keep that type of stuff straight, because the last thing you want is to be audited by the IRS and be in talks for God knows how long. It's just one of those things. Just want to say hello to everybody on Retake. Good to see you guys. And also on Abstract. They're also out there. But let me get back to the other part, right? Because I haven't said anything about DeFi up in this point, except for the DPIN projects. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do to earn, let's be very specific here. The return on these things take at least 12 months to a year. Because if I go and check out the token itself, which if I go back here to CoinGecko, the Helium token, which used to be at $14, is now at $257. And they have a mobile token, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Oops. And that's where the mobile stuff goes. Helium Mobile. And it's not, it's where it's at. So the all-time high for that token was almost 2 years ago, as is the all-time low. Wonderful. But you can find it all on Solana. That Solana is a really great infrastructure for a lot of these deep in projects. It's been that way for a long time. Would love to see more of this stuff. Like you know, Dymo mentioned that they're now on base. Would love to see a lot more deep in groups coming to base. There's been a push to bring some more to Avalanche, for example. Um, yeah, using on-chain rails, using blockchain for a lot of things. A lot of companies are using it now, but not in the ways that you think of. There are a lot of companies using blockchain for shipping and logistics, inventory management for having decentralized storage for that type of stuff. So again, there's a bunch of different reasons that's outside the scope of what we'll talk about today. Um, but a lot of people are asking, if this is all in DPIN, and we're looking at what can we do to acquire assets that keep working for us. That's the specific specialty of decentralized finance. A lot of people come into this space and they have crypto assets and they think it's all about buying and holding. It's about buying low and selling high. That's true. But in DeFi, we're here because we're here to profit off of the behavior of other investors. That's exactly all we talk about inside our group at Beacon DeFi. Yield farming is what it's called. And to get passive income through yield farming, you have a couple of different ways to do it. You can go through the ridiculously high rates, right? I've talked about one of our longtime friends in the space, Beefy. I can go right now, clear the decks. And just on APY, whatever syndicate's doing right now, we're looking at a daily APY, sorry, because it's compounded daily, of 6.7% daily. 6% daily. Jaspreet was talking about things that happened with the rate. This is yearly. That's the return yearly. We're looking at crazy things that could be happening daily. Now, nuanced response here, because that may not necessarily be true, right? So if I come in here, I can look and I can check on the historical rate with regards to the APY. So you can see it's fire, which means it's way too high, large numbers. The price of the token is kind of all over the place in terms of how it's performing against ETH. That's fine as well. As long as it's not down, then beefy CLMs are a great way to consider looking for yield. A lot of people will ask if this is real. Oh, it's real. It's really real, right? I can put in USDC, farm this for, I don't know, a week, pull it out. You should see a gain. CLMs are really good for long assets. If you have assets that kind of butt heads and stay flat, your P&L will stay flat. That's just kind of the way that it works. But for us, because we're looking for passive income and we want to make sure this is something we don't have to monitor often, like you would here with something that has, 6% daily yield, because that's unsustainable, right? Yeah, that's unsustainable, guys. Just to give you the heads up, if anything sells you that the APY for this is 183,400, that is an unsustainable rate. This is a more fairly reasonable rate. But in the terms of what we look for, at least what we talk about with our community, if I'm going to go put my liquidity on the line to speculate, I sure as hell better be getting paid for the risk I'm taking. That's a very handsome risk, by the way. It's a very handsome repayment for the risk. Obviously, none of this is financial advice. Do your own research. Trust. Is that what I say? Where's my don't trust, verify? It's right there on the wall. Always verify it yourself. In any case, one thing we talk about, and one thing we talked about, I want to say was back a month ago, was DeFi savings accounts, right? I'll rehash that for a minute. Our friends at Axel have a wonderful product looks like I don't believe it's mobile only or mobile forward, but they are offering 6 to 10% in an automated stablecoin savings account. That's fine. If you're already on chain, uh, one place you might want to consider is Moonwell. Even better, when you deposit money in Moonwell, which roughly, I think for the supply is like 7% on USDC, they actually give you a payment card. So if you're, let's just, and I'm just addressing the degens in the room. If you have trench profits, that you want to put out there, let's say you're on base, or if not, you can bridge that USDC to base, put it in Moonwell. They'll give you a card. Now, heads up on this, you're going to have to KYC for this because it's from Cypher and they do require KYC. That's fine, right? That's the trade-off that you're going to have. Otherwise, you can figure out another way to pay for it, which I'm not going to talk about here either. But they've kind of marketed themselves as a virtual US checking account because they give you the card, right? Two ways to go about it. You can literally come and stake your USDC, just supply it, and earn 6.5%. That's already better than everything here, right? I think there was one that was like more of a speculative play on an ETF that was getting like 12% or something like that. And that's great. That's fantastic. You may not have access to that, frankly. You may have to go through an advisor. There may not be an easy way to buy that. I'm sure you can maybe you can go on to Webull or Robinhood and find, I think it was MORI or something like that, and purchase it that way. If you can, great. But if you don't, you don't. Stablecoins are great because we call them the killer app of crypto. Not only can they be used for payments, they're going to be used for anything you can think of. If you have XRP and you are on Coinbase, you can withdraw that to the base blockchain. It'll be called CBXRP as a wrapped asset. You can supply it here, earn almost 1% APY. That may not sound like much, but you're not earning anything by holding it. You're just holding it, right? Granted, they have a blockchain now with XRP Ledger. I really haven't seen a whole lot of staking or LP options that make it worth the squeeze, to be frank. Yet. I'll say that with a yet. So don't come for me, XRP guys. Your day is coming. Don't worry. One thing you can use too, if you don't want it to, this is very much a set and forget thing. You can use Memo, which is their 10%. Nice. Because you get additional rewards. Actually, I take that. The Memo accounts are, it's 11.9. Well, that's way better than just putting it into the stake. And yeah, so what Memo does, it's an auto compounding. It's just basically their AI agent, their bot. You just deposit the USDC, and now we've bumped that up to 11.9%, right? That's fantastic. Not a whole lot there's a lot you can't really beat that with, right? And it's auto compounded. You're getting the best rates possible because Memo is in the background using that. And then if you want to, spend it with your Moonwell card, you can certainly do that. For a lot of people who ask about some of our marketing, where we talk about, our friend Brian who used profits from stablecoin farming to pay for his daughter's wedding, stuff like this. We have multiple members who utilize stablecoin farming in this manner or something very similar to farm their taxes that they pay at the end of the year, that they have to pay for all of their farming and their crypto activity. Remember, guys, you still have to pay taxes on this stuff when you report, because it's going to be taxed that way. So as capital gains. So keep that in mind. Not tax advice. You can do whatever you like when it comes to that. But just remember, you should be good and pay your taxes regardless of what jurisdiction you live in. So the better question is, can I beat that? Well, yeah, of course. If you're willing to go to Camino on Solana, one of our faves, they have this earn section where now they have curated vaults. And essentially, like a good bank savings account, you deposit your money in the bank, and then they take that money and they just push it places, right? They rehypothecate your funds into multiple strategies that they have for the bank, for the savings loan system that they have, whether it's with like annuities, things like things that are happening on Wall Street, um, Vanguard, Spider. There's a variety of things that I'm sure they'll show you if you ask, what is my money doing? In essence, on most savings accounts, you get what? 0.25%, if that. Some of the best ones that are available, you go to NerdWallet, right? For example, for looking for something that you can get like 4.25%, but you have to put down $5,000 for, stuff like that. Or you have to pay an annual fee or a monthly fee to or keep a balance, stuff like that. And you're getting, not the best returns. These look pretty decent. If I search by APY, we have the Steakhouse USDG pool, 2466, and that's super nutsoid territory, honestly, because for many years in this space, empires have fallen for holy grail of 20%. Anchor Finance on Terra made a living on the idea that they could get you 20%. And that's what you earned for being there. Now they did a bunch of things behind the scenes, dark pools, whatever. Athena, when they first came out with USDE, they promised 27% on ETH mainnet by doing validator staking plus staking against BTC futures and ETH futures. It's not there now, but there are other projects that are similar to it. If you like your Bitcoin, Hermetica, up to 25%. This is a Bitcoin-backed coin, stable coin. You stake Bitcoin to get USDH, which is Hermetica. And then you can do things with that. Not a lot, to be quite honest, but you can be earning 25% just for staking your Bitcoin. So, are they safe? Yeah, I'd say so. For the most part, everything's audited. A lot of these things on these platforms are well audited. Moonwell, I believe, is audited by Code Arena was one of them for sure, if I remember seeing correctly. Yeah, Halborn, Code Arena, and Certora. 3 very good auditing firms. 3 that I like. One more than others, but yeah, it's good stuff to get stuff like this. So, and with everybody doing what they're doing with the Genius Act, digital asset treasury companies, they're looking to tokenize all the stocks and precious metals and all the companies in the world and bring them on chain. Yeah, it's really hard to not want to consider looking here. So if you know somebody who's interested in learning more about this, there's plenty of ways to get a DeFi savings account. There's plenty of ways to earn money with these DePIN passive income streams. I was going to show you a really nutty one, but I'll save that. Check us out, school.com/beacon. Join the many who have come in. And again, it's absolutely free to join. And you'll get mentored by me if you want to join our mastermind or our Beacon Challenge. All right, guys. That's all we have time for today. Hopefully you learned quite a bit, and hopefully I have the wrong background up. That's unfortunate. There we go. You can check us out at Beacon DeFi on all social platforms or beacondefi.io. What is wrong with all of this? Oy, oy, oy. There we go. I'm Chris. I'm the DeFi professor. And we do this show every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about what you can do to go out and beat the banks every week with all the great things that we have here in decentralized finance. We have our flagship podcast every Wednesday. That's our Total Value Locked podcast TVL show, where I have a panel of the best and brightest from web3, along with sometimes a featured panelist to talk about a new project for you. That's Wednesdays at 1 p.m. And we also have our Twitter space that's called On Air with Beacon. That's at Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Feel free to check us out then. To hopefully meet a great new protocol you'd never heard of before. I mean, it was thanks to that show that we met the group from CoreDAO for the core blockchain. Learn more about these RWA apartments where you can earn up to 7 to 8%. On apartment rentals. I think it's a fantastic idea personally. So really excited to see where this goes. But we do need more projects like this. So yeah. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend. Keep beating those banks. 07, as we say here, beacons up. Banks down. Keep beating those banks, guys. Have a great day.